Hey guys, let me share the video. Okay. It's already been 2 minutes. Look, I just got on. All right, let's start. We have, see how many pages in this chapter. Not many, about 5. Jude's reverie was interrupted by the creak of footsteps ascending the stairs. He whisked Sue's clothing from the chair where it was drying, thrust it under the bed, and sat down to his book. Somebody knocked and opened the door immediately. It was the landlady. "Oh, I didn't know whether you was in or not, Mr. Foley. I wanted to know if you would require supper. I see you've got a young gentleman." "Yes, ma'am, but I think I won't come down tonight. Will you bring supper up on a tray and I'll have a cup of tea as well?" It was Jude's custom to go downstairs to the kitchen and eat his meals with the family to save trouble. His landlady brought up the supper, however, on this occasion and took it from her at the door. And he took it from her at the door. When she had descended, he set the teapot on the hob and drew out Sue's clothes anew. But they were far from dry. A thick woolen gown he found held a deal of water. So he hung them up again and kept up his fire and mused as the steam from the garments went up the chimney. Suddenly she said, "Jude!" "Yes, all right. How do you feel now?" "Better. Quite well. Well, I fell asleep, didn't I? What time is it? Not late, surely." "It's past 10. "Is it really? What shall I do?" she said, starting up. "Stay where you are." "Yes, that's what I want to do, but I don't know what they would say. And what will you do?" "I'm going to sit here by the fire all night and read. Tomorrow is Sunday, and I haven't anywhere to go at all. Perhaps you will be saved by a severe illness by resting there. Don't be frightened. I'm all right. Look here, what have I got for you? Some supper." When she had sat upright, she breathed plaintively and said, "I do feel rather weak still. I thought I was well, and I ought not to be here, ought I?" But the supper fortified her somewhat, and when she had some tea and leaned back again. She was bright and cheerful. The tea must have been green, or too long drawn, for she seemed preternaturally wakeful afterwards, though Jude, who had not taken any, began to feel heavy, till our conversation fixed his attention. "You called me a creature of civilization or something, didn't you?" she said, breaking a silence. "It was very odd you should have done that." "Why?" "Well, because it's provokingly wrong. I am a sort of negation of it." "You are very philosophical, and negation is a profound talking." "It is. Do I strike you as being learned?" she asked, with a touch of raillery. No, not learned. Only you don't talk quite like a girl. Well, a girl who has had no advantages. I have had advantages. I don't know Latin and Greek though. I know the grammars of those tongues, but I don't know. But I know most of the Greek and Latin classics through translations and other books too. I read Lamprey, Catullus, Martial, Juvenal, Lucian, Beaumont, and Fletcher. Boccaccio, Sargon, de Brantôme, Sterne, Defoe, Smollett, Fielding, Shakespeare, the Bible, and other such, and found that all interest in the unwholesome part of those books ended with its mystery. You have read more than I, he said with a sigh. How come you to read some of those queerer ones? Well, she said thoughtfully, it was by accident. My life had been entirely shaped by what people call a peculiarity in me. I have no fear of men as such, nor of their books. I have mixed with them, one or two of them particularly, almost as if one of their own sex. I mean, I have not felt about them as most women are taught to feel, to be on their guard against attacks on their virtue, for no average man, no man short of a sensual savage, will molest a woman by day or night, at home or abroad, unless she invites him, until she says by a look, come on, he's always afraid too, and if you never say it or look it, he never comes. However, what I was going to say is that when I was 18, I formed a friendly intimacy with an undergraduate at Christ Minister, and he taught me a great deal, and he lent me books which I should never have got the hold of otherwise. Is your friendship broken off? Oh, yes, he died, poor fellow, 2 or 3 years after he had taken his degree and left Christ Minister. You saw a good deal of him, I suppose. Yes, we used to go about together on walking tours, reading tours, and things of that sort, like two men almost. He asked me to live with him, and I agreed to by letter, but when I joined him in London, I found he meant a different thing from what I meant. He wanted me to be my lover. In fact, but I wasn't in love with him, and on my saying I should go away if he didn't agree to my plan, he did so. We shared a sitting room for 15 months, and he became a leader writer for one of the great London dailies till he was taken ill and I had to go abroad. He said I was breaking his heart by holding out against him so long at such close quarters. He could never have believed it of a woman. I might play that game once too often, he said. He came home merely to die. His death caused a terrible remorse in me for my cruelty, though I hope he died of consumption and not of me entirely. I went down to Sanborn to his funeral and was his only mourner. He left me a little money because I broke his heart, I suppose. That's how men are. So much better than women. Good heavens! What did you do then? Ah, now you are angry with me, she said, a contralto note of tragedy coming suddenly into her silvery voice. I wouldn't have told you if I had known. No, I am not. Tell me all. Well, I invested his money, poor fellow, in a bubble scheme and lost it. I lived about London by myself for some time, and then I returned to Christminster as my father, who was also in London, and have started an art metal worker near Longacre. Wouldn't have me back, and I got the occupation in the artist shop where you found me. I said, you don't know how bad it was. Jude looked around upon the armchair at his occupant, as if to read more carefully the creature he had given shelter to. His voice trembled as he said, however you have lived, Sue, I believe you are as innocent as you are unconventional. I am not particularly innocent, as you see, now that I have twitched the robe from that black lay figure you fancy draped, she said, with an ostensible sneer, though he could hear that she was brimming with tears. But I have never yielded myself to any lover, if that's what you mean. I have remained as I began. I quite believe you, but some women would have remained as they began. Perhaps not. Better women would not. People, I say, must be cold-natured, sexless on account of it. But I won't have it. Some of the most passionately erotic poets have been the most self-contained in their daily lives. Have you told Mr. Philliston about the university scholar friend? Yes, long ago. I have never made any secret of it to anybody. What did he say? He did not pass any criticism, only I was everything to him. Whatever I did and things like that. Jude felt much depressed. She seemed to get further and further away from him with her strange ways and curious unconsciousness of gender. Aren't you really vexed with me, dear Jude? She said suddenly, in a voice of such extraordinary tenderness that he hardly seemed to come from the same woman who had just told her story so lightly. I would rather offend anybody in the world than you, I think. I don't know whether I am vexed or not. I know I care very much about you. I care as much for you as for anybody I ever met. You don't care more? There, I ought not to say. Don't answer it. There was another long silence. He felt that she was treating him cruelly. Though he could not quite say in what way. Her very helplessness seemed to make her so much stronger than he. I am awfully ignorant of general matters, although I have worked so hard, he said, to turn the subject. I am absorbed in theology, you see, you know. And what do you think I should be doing just about now if you weren't here? I should be saying my evening prayers, I suppose you wouldn't like. Oh, no, 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 she answered. I would rather not if you don't mind. I should seem such a hypocrite. I thought you wouldn't join, so I didn't propose it. You must remember that I hope to be useful minister someday. To be ordained, I think you said? Yes. Then you haven't given up the idea. I thought that perhaps you had by this time. Of course not. I fondly thought at first that you felt as I do about that, as you were so steeped in Christ's minister and Mr. Phillips' son. I have no respect for Christ's minister whatever, except in a qualified degree. On its intellectual side, said Bridehead earnestly, my friend and I spoke of took that out of me. My friend I spoke of took that out of me. He was the most irreligious man I ever knew and the most moral. An intellect in Christ's minister is new wine in old bottles. The medievalism My friend and I spoke of took that out of me. He was the most irreligious man I ever knew and the most moral. An intellect at Christ's minister is new wine in old bottles. The medievalism of Christ's minister must go, be sloughed off, or Christ's minister itself will have to go. To be sure, at times one couldn't help having a sneaking liking for the traditions of the old faith. And preserved by a section of thinkers there in touching and simple sincerity. But when I was in my saddest, rightest mind, I always felt, oh, ghastly glories of saints' dead limbs of giblet gods. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'm not even going to post this. Yeah, well.